Hey everyone, happy Tuesday, and Tuesday is a wine day. Apparently, I don't know why, but it's the excuse for drinking wine. It's Tuesday, but why that's the case, I don't know. Anyway, it's the 15th of November, and that puts us halfway through the month of November, and we've had a green day. Another green day, which is the fifth green day in a row for us. So we're putting a little bit of a streak together. I'd like to get to the end of this week and have a completely green week. That would be nice. We've had $7,000 is today's game. We've had 3 stocks traded, 3 green trades. We traded Pineapple Energy. We got a couple of $100 out of Pineapple Energy, then gave most of it back. So we're finishing with Pineapple Energy, $25 to the good. $25 is $25. It's $25 in my pocket rather than in the market. I prefer that. But we did just over $2,000 on AMD, and we did just under $5,000 on C Limited, so SE. And AMD was the first stock that we traded. The PPI numbers came out. Not that that's got anything to do with AMD, but AMD tends to follow the market. It tends to. If you trade it, if you're looking for indicators of what AMD is going to do, look at the chart on the SPY. And AMD, unless it's got a particular individual catalyst like earnings, or a couple of weeks ago it had microchip news that makes it trade slightly away from the market. If it's not got an individual catalyst pertaining to AMD, then it will trade in line with the wider market. So the SPY is an ETF that tracks the S&P 500. So watch the SPY or watch the E-mini or the SPX or whatever it is that you want to watch in terms of the wider market. And you'll be able to see pretty much what AMD's either doing or going to do. And the PPI numbers came out today, so that's why it's important. So the PPI numbers came out today. Producers Price Index, that's what the PPI is. It's very similar to the Consumer Price Index in terms of it's a measure of the level of inflation. However, the Consumer Price Index is the price at the shelves, the price on the forecourt. The price to you and me, Joe Public, Joe Sixpack. That's how much we pay as consumers. Okay. However, the PPI is the price of getting those products and services to us as the consumers. So it's the price for the manufacturers, the producers of those products and services. So that's the PPI. Now, if that goes up, obviously that has a knock-on effect with the CPI, and there's we can go round and round. However, the CPI results came out last week, very favourable, and we got some very bullish momentum at the back end of last week as a result of those numbers on the Consumer Price Index, and we got similar results today with the PPI. We got similar market effect in terms of bullish impact, not quite to the levels that we got last week, and we did see a bit of a somebody pushed the button. That's probably the wrong analogy I should be using, but somebody pushed the button to stop that because Poland had a missile attack, and when that hit the news, the market sold off and pulled back, and quite frankly that put an end to the bullish momentum. But anyway, we got in on AMD as those PPI numbers dropped. We saw what it was doing with the market, so we jumped in on AMD and rode that up and managed to get $2,000 of profit on that. It then started to consolidate. It was upwards trending, but it was marginally upwards trending. It started consolidating, and not just AMD, but a lot of the other larger stocks, mid and large cap stocks that follow the market did exactly the same. So, and the market itself, for that matter. Then at the open, we traded SE is the ticker, so that's SEA Limited. And that was moving up. We waited for that to break pre-market highs, and it did it with quite some volume. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'm going to tack on the back of this replay. I will show you the trades in real time as they were recorded, as they were transacted, It was all done live on the stream, so you want to go back and watch the stream, that's fine. But if you just want to watch the summary, I'll tack on very quick trades, two very quick trades, AMD and C. We also traded Pineapple Energy, as I mentioned. We got a little bit of profit, and then we gave a little bit back. So I was conscious that we were over goal. We got green. We're going to stay green. We're over goal. We're staying over goal. And I was looking for things to trade around 1 p.m., just after lunch, about 1 p.m. market time, and that's when Poland was had received the missile attacks from Russia. Whether that's deliberate or not is yet to be decided. That could have wider repercussions globally, not just on the stock market, but politically and in terms of the safety of people. The geopolitical climate could be impacted based on that, whether it's the diplomacy comes into account now and decide whether, should something be done in retaliation from a NATO perspective, because Poland is part of NATO, or will they accept an excuse that it was an accident and for whatever reason those missiles didn't land in Ukraine, they landed in Poland? I don't know, but I'm not a politician. I'll leave that to the politicking and politics to the politicians. In the meantime, I'll just look at what the price action on the market's happening, and I look to make money. That being said, let's talk about how we actually got green and stayed green today. So let's have a look at AMD. So AMD, we saw that the PPI numbers dropped at 8:30 market time, East Coast, New York, 8:30. And we saw this spike up. If we look at the SPY, which tracks the S&P 500, you can see the spike up on the S&P 500, and then the gradual kind of sell off into the open. But AMD was exactly the same. It didn't sell off into the open, but it just kind of consolidated sideways. So we got in here, and we were able to ride it up, and we took profits up at the top. We saw the doji here, and then when we got out, we started to pull back and we broke new lows. We just exited the position. You can watch that as it was it's recorded as it was traded, so you'll be able to watch that after this. And just over $2,000 on that move up. Yes, the equity position was large, so if you've got a small account, you're not going to make $2,000 on a move from AMD. But I took 2,500 shares at $70 a share. That's quite a sizable equity position. I do have a larger account, and I do have margin on that account as well. So just bear that in mind, that if you are planning on taking or trading some of these mid and large cap stocks, the gains that you're going to get are not going to be huge if you've got a smaller account. You need a larger account to profit from these larger cap stocks, mid and large cap stocks. Anyway, that being said, we did trade SE. That was the next thing we traded, and it wasn't until after the bell that we traded this, and it moved up, and it did shoot up. We broke pre-market highs. We jumped in and rolled this all the way up. We then we took half the position off. I think it was $60 that we took half the position off, and then we set a trailing stop in place, a 30-cent trailing stop. And as it pulled back, we got stopped out. It did pull back and then broke the VWAP to the downside. I was looking at this and needed it to make new highs, because we're kind of looking at a double top end pattern, if you will. I needed it to make new highs to get back in. I then took the dog for a walk as this started to make, we've got a double bottom here, and they started to make new highs up here. I didn't trade that, but you can see that the double bottom formation here, the W formation, once you've got the bearish formation there, comes back down to kind of $57. We get a double bottom here at the $57 before they move back up. But not only did it move back up, it moved all the way back up. So it went up to kind of $65 on the day at the top end. So $65, well, it's over $65, $65.75. Now, this is where the news broke of, so we're talking about this and I'm looking for another trade at this stage. So I've been out, done my shopping, bought some treats for the dog, walked the dog and everything else. I've come back and I've ordered my dinner, waiting for that to arrive, and I'm looking for something to trade. it's getting called out that SE is still moving up, but I can see that SE, which is C limited or whatever you want to call it, I can see that this is extremely extended. You can see how far the VWAP is here, down at 61, while this is up at it's less than 61, while this is up at 65. But I'm seeing this is extremely extended. I called it out. Look, it's dangerous to take a trade with this right now while it's so extended. We need a good pullback. So we got a good pullback. And I'm thinking, yeah, we're at the races here. Didn't realize the reason for the pullback was this missile launch from Russia to Poland, and we continued to sell off. Now we did get a bit of a bounce, but there's argument for that being a double bottom, and I know someone in the Day Trade with Tony Discord did call this as a double bottom on the 5-minute, and on the 5-minute chart, it very much is a double bottom. But you see this double bottom, and I called it out at 60. I said if we get down here, if we break $64, then we could be back at the races. 64, the low of 63, getting at 64, you get 65. So that was my thinking behind this. Now it did pull back before it actually broke $64, and then when it broke $64, it did go on and reach 65. So I wasn't wrong. When I called that out in the Discord, I wasn't wrong, but it didn't hold, it didn't sustain, it didn't follow through. It did just continue selling off into the close. And right now, as I'm recording this after hours, it's down at 62.60s, as you can see there. And maybe we'll get continuation tomorrow. I will be on my watch list tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. I'll continue to look at the market, but SE being one of the big movers on the day, I'll make sure that I do watch that for tomorrow. So that is essentially the trades as they happened. What I will do is show you those trades. Before I do, just make sure that you smash the like button, thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That way you will get notified. If you hit the notification bell, of course, you'll get notified if I'm going live, as I do every morning, 90 minutes before the market opens. And you'll also get notified when I drop a new video like this. And that way you'll never miss a trick with Day Trade with Tony. Where does that put us on the month? Because the last time we were actually behind on the month. We were a little bit behind in terms of our average daily gain on the month. So let's take a look, shall we? So right now, if we look at November right now, we can see that we've got five trading days green in a row. We had 3 red days and a couple of big red days this month, so it's not really been the best month for us so far. Had a couple of good green days as well. Early doors after the first week, we looked like we could be on track to having a really good month, and then we kind of put paid to that last week. However, we've had effectively 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 days in a row over goal, and we weren't too far off on last Friday. 4,600, which is not too bad. It's slightly under goal, $5,000 at being the goal per day, slightly under goal, but it's still good. So let's look at where that puts us on the year versus where it puts us on the month. So on the year, we're averaging $5,000 a day in gains. We're right on track to hit our to hit our annual goal. So our annual goal from a growth perspective is 100,000 a month, which it would take us to 1.2 million across the year. We're already over the 7-figure gross number. So we're already over $1 million gross, $60,000 over $1 million gross. We do have a little bit left on November, almost half of November left. Plus December. It does look like, based on events that happened to me this morning, it looks like I'll be trading throughout December, holidays aside, because it doesn't look like I'm going to be going away. Things may change, but that's what it looks like right now. And if we maintain the $5,000 average, we shouldn't be too far off. So the problem that we've had up until now is that we've started incurring higher transaction charges. we're falling a little bit behind on the net goal. Now, the 1.2 million was never the goal. It's never been the goal. The goal was a net seven-figure number. So to have after charges, so ECN fees, FINRA fees, commissions, transaction charges across the board, the goal was to have a net seven-figure year. That's what I set myself at the top of the bull run at the end of last year. Coming into this year, I said, okay, we've had a really good year. Just got over $1 million gross last year. So the goal this year is $1 million net. So 1.2, given approximately 16% of my daily gains or weekly, monthly gains are going in charges and fees, that I looked at 1.2 million, 100,000 a month will give me that net seven-figure number. So that was always the goal this year. That's what I'm striving to. I'm setting myself a goal. And I would advise, if you're going to be a day trader, if you're going to be trading for a living, do that for yourself. You don't have to be setting big seven-figure goals for you like I do. I've been trading quite a while, and I've been trading successfully. So maybe your goal might be six figures. It might be, 60K, it might be 50K. I want to earn 50K, an extra 50K this year. Whatever your goal is, whatever's meaningful to you. Think about it. If you make $500 a day, that is six figures. That's over $100,000 a year. So $500 a day is a big difference. So to most people don't earn that. Most people don't earn anywhere near that. So $500 a day could be a big difference to your income. I'm $5,000 a day. I've graduated. I started off, I wanted to make $200 a day. That was my goal. I wanted $200 a day. In addition to, then I could go out and continue my other businesses, my consultancy work and everything else, and maintain the kind of standard that I got used to in my VP role. I didn't think I'd be talking about $5,000 a day. Now I've set my goal at $5,000 a day. So that's just me. That could be you in a few years' time. Aspire to it. Let me be your inspiration. Anyway, back to what I'm talking about in terms of the goals. So I just want to highlight a couple of things here. So the average daily gain is a little over $5,000. That's a big thing, because in order to hit my goal, I've set myself a $5,000 per day goal. So I'm a little over $5,000. So I'm on track there. The K ratio, a good K ratio is all to do with risk and reward. A good K ratio is 2. So across the year, my K ratio is 6.74, which is very, very, very good. My profit factor is 1.91. So that basically says that I'm consistently profitable across the board. If I look at my win-loss expectation in terms of my trade selection accuracy, so 66.33 or 66.6, 33.3, that will be a 2-to-1. Now, 2-to-1 is known as the golden ratio, and I'm currently 67 versus 32 plus change. So I'm pretty much 2-to-1 in terms of trade accuracy across the year, mate. This is for the year of 2022. If I look at how much I've made it in profits versus how much I've lost, and the difference between the balance between the two is the net profit. So 2.2 million versus a 1.1 million. So we're not far off a 2-to-1 there. So 2 million versus 1 million, 2-to-1, 2.2, 1.1. It's not far off a 2-to-1 ratio there. So again, across the year, my averages are that magical or golden ratio of 2-to-1. Now, I found it difficult in October, and I found it difficult this month. Let's have a look at the difference between that in terms of overall. So right now, as I say, 3,300 is, so it was previously I think about 2,600. So we're moving in the right direction. But 3,300 is the average daily gain that I'm making in November. So if I keep having days like today where I made not only am I over goal, but I'm considerably over goal. I'll be able to get back up to that 5k average and hopefully bring the profit levels up, then the net levels up, if you will, then the net profits up to a point where we're going into December ahead the same way we came into November ahead. And if I look at the K ratio, now this, I'm actually embarrassed to show this right now. So the K ratio in November is 0.82. Bearing in mind, a good K ratio is 2.0. I'm over 6 across the year. In November, I'm 0.82. So my risk versus reward, my risk management is not great. I've got away with it, but my risk management has been appalling in November. And I need to sort that out. My profitability, my profit factor, 1.41 is way down compared to what it is across the year. But if I look at and I'll come to it in a second, and I'll demonstrate it in a second, the risk management would put me in a much better position if I had better risk management in November. Let's just look at the win-loss expectation right now. 69% versus 30%. So it's a little better than 2 to 1 in November. So my trade selection is, I'm getting a lot more winners than I am losers. Normally I'm 2 to 1 across the year, as you saw from previously, but right now it's 7 to 3. Is a close odds of that. So it's a little better than 2 to 1. Where I'm going wrong, and this is the thing that I need to tidy up towards the back end of this month. I've got a big account at the moment. I'm trading with I can trade with larger sizes, so I can make bigger gains, but with that comes bigger losses. So 127,000 is how much I've made in terms of profit. However, I've also made 90,000 in losses. So that 4 to 3, a little better than 4 to 3, is far and away from 2 to 1. And that's what I need to improve on. So if I can get this back to 2 to 1, so let's put this into context. Let's round that up to 130,000, and we're doing the 2 to 1 ratio. If my risk versus reward, my risk management was better, and I was averaging that 2 to 1 ratio, the golden ratio, I'd have 130,000 in gains, but I'd also have 65,000, 2 to 1. I'd have 65,000 in losses, which will put me at $65,000 in profit, as opposed to just 36,000 in profit. I'd be $30,000 better off right now if my risk management was better. So I can look at this, and this is the power of looking at trade. If you're looking at these statistics, you can actually analyze where you're going wrong, where you should be if you're performing optimally, what you should be doing. Then you can break it down go into a trade. You can actually look at the trades and see, okay, was my entry on point? You can look at the charts. It marks it out in terms of the charts. I can actually do that for you if you like. And for example, well, let's take a look at trades. So let's look at today PEGY. So let's look at AMD, for example. Let's look at the details on AMD. So AMD today was the first trade that we took. So here, this is the great thing about TradeView. I've got this mapped out. I can put extra charts. I can add an extra chart in here. If I've got a 1 minute chart, I've got the daily chart, I've got the 5 minute chart. But I can actually map this out on where I actually got in. It's actually not showing me because it was pre-market. So probably if I go back and look at the SE here, so look at the 1 minute chart here. I'll zoom that up so you can see we got in and got out. That was very, very simple. So as this broke at highs, we had a little bit of a pullback, we got back in, and we entered our position there, and it moved up. We set a trailing stop, and we got out. We got stopped out when it hit our trailing stop, 30-cent trailing stop. So that was the trade. That was, you can watch that later. So I'll put that on later so you can watch it. But this, I'm able to look at this in detail. That's the whole point that I'm making here. I'm able to look at this in detail. I'm able to look at the entry and exit positions. I'm able to look at the running P&L here. So this has got a P&L for the actual trade. It's got where this sits in terms of P&L on the day. So what I would say about going back to the detailed reports here, you can get a lot more insight into logging your trades on this that helps you become a better trader, and that's what I use TraderView for every single day. So yeah, I'm gonna end now. I'm realizing I'm waffling a little bit, so I'm gonna end this right here. I'm gonna let you watch the 2 trades that I've taken today that were significant. Pineapple Energy, we finished with $25, so that's what I would consider significant. So I'll let you watch the AMD trade first. It's about 4 or 5 minutes long, and then you can watch the C trade, which is about 2 minutes long. Enjoy the trades, and once again, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to this channel. I'll be back at it tomorrow, 90 minutes before the market opens, 8 a.m. market time, East Coast. That's 1 p.m. here in Ireland, 1 p.m. in the UK. Come join me then. Enjoy this trade replay. Enjoy your evening. Okay, here we go. Lock in half of that. Quick $250. Doubled up. Yeah, look, there's not a lot we can do about the strength of the dollar, but I get paid in dollars, so I'm okay. Bit over 77 on AMD. Under 690. Afternoon, Imran. Mimi. Good to see you. Looking for 77. The 76.99 right now on the ask. There's the 77. Which is nice and bullish. Take half off. That's a quick $1,300. Yeah, the volume's decreasing, which is why I've just taken half off, locked it in. My exit is 77 now if it pulls back. Synthetic shares have always been around there at CMD. It's not going away anytime soon. It's part of this Wall Street manipulation. It always takes place, but in reality, it's nothing nefarious in most cases. In some cases, it can be, but in most cases, it's not. So 77 is my my exit. In fact, first candle breaks a new low. I'm just going to get out. This is not a bad start to the day. 2,000 if I get out right here. Low of this candle is 77.10. There we go. We'll get out. That'll do. What's the news on the SPY? PPI data at JSpec. Let's see. Big position on this. Where did I get filled up at 34? It's not even been up there yet. That's terrible. Volatility is, this is a horrible fill, but good volatility. What, 59? A 30-cent trailing stop in place there now, and let's see if this rides up until it gets $60. I think I'll probably get stopped out because it's a bit too volatile, but this is a nice $4 trade. Happy days. It's $6 grand, 5 grand trade. That's me done, guys. Happy days. $7 grand on the day. Now that was a very easy, very simple trade.